The next stop is stop number 28, Merrion Square, for the Natural History Museum and the National Gallery of Ireland. Coming up on your left, you will see a statue of Oscar Wilde. The colourful stone sculpture depicts Oscar lounging in typical flashy dress, and it really captures his charm. When it was unveiled in 1997, it was the first... Just a short hop to our next stop, stop number 29, the Merrion Hotel. On your right is the back of Leinster House, Ireland's Parliament buildings. A lot of news reports are broadcast from here, so keep an eye out. And if you see one, wave. You just might make it onto TV. On your right is still part of the government buildings, specifically the Department of Finance offices. Feel free to pop in and do put in a good word for me. At the next junction, we will cross over Baggot Street, which is a popular evening destination for locals. It is known for its many great pubs, not surprising being so close to the government buildings. One of the pubs along here is called O'Donoghue's, renowned for its Irish music, and for being where the famous Irish band, the Dubliners, were formed. Baggot Street is particularly busy on match days when Ireland are playing rugby, as the team stay in the Shelbourne Hotel down in the right. Eager supporters come in early to get a few drinks and cheer the team on as they pass along here in their coach en route to the Aviva Stadium. This area of the city was designed as a number of residential squares from 1789 onwards. Georgian architecture is recognisable through its wide streets, tall terrace buildings, usually in red brick, adorned with large windows and steps leading up to a first-floor doorway. This style can be seen all over Dublin, and because of this, Dublin is a popular destination for many period TV and film productions. Straight ahead of you, you will see St. Stephen's Green. In the 1600s, it was a marshy area, primarily used for grazing, until the corporation walled it in and sold the land around it. As the south side became very fashionable, houses sprouted up all around here, and by the late 18th century, the green had become a lovely private park for local residents. The restricted access was finally lifted in 1877, as the park was purchased by Lord Ardilaun and gifted to the city of Dublin to be enjoyed by all. Lord Ardilaun was Sir Arthur Edward Guinness, great-grandson of Arthur Guinness.
Oh no! Guter Mann.
Went down the Castle Street, and they fell in love with a laundry girl that was worked and fixed. Her brown hair zigzagged around her best. She said to me, can't you see?
Oh, was ist das für ein Ding hier? Hier, das ist unser Bus.
Don't take me out again.
The next stop is stop number 30, for St. Stephen's Green and the Little Museum of Dublin. A quick hop now across to our next stop, stop number 31, Dawson Street. Known for its great cocktail bars and the Dawson Lounge. Having only a capacity of 40 people, the Dawson Lounge is the smallest pub in Dublin. From the stop, you can also see the Mansion House a little further ahead on the right. It's where the Mayor of Dublin lives, and also the site of the first Dáil in Ireland after independence. At the end of this street, straight ahead of you, is the side entrance to Trinity College. You will see a better Leinster House, the front of Dáil Éireann. Ireland's government buildings. As you can imagine, Trinity College is not an easy university to be accepted into. Academia aside, it was also very difficult to study there in the past if you were a Catholic. It was only in 1793 that Catholics were admitted, but they were still restricted on things such as professorships, fellowships and scholarships. It was 1873 before these restrictions were lifted, and Catholic students were entitled to everything Protestant students were. Sounds good, except that the Catholic Church then forbade any Catholics from going there. You had to get special permission to attend from the church. Approaching on the left will be the Irish Whiskey Museum, and on your right, as promised, we will be passing the front of Trinity College. Many notable alumni have walked through its stunning archway. Writers like Oscar Wilde, Bram Stoker, Jonathan Swift and Samuel Beckett, former Irish presidents such as Mary Robinson and Mary McAleese, Oscar-nominated film director Lenny Abramson, and actors like Dominic West, Ruth Negga, and my personal favourite, Pauline McGlynn. Just ahead on the right is where you will find the National Wax Museum. It's a really great experience and a lot of fun for adults and children. There's a Chamber of Horrors, time vaults, the interactive Science and Discovery Zone, as well as all the historical figures and celebrities. So, if you want your photo with James Bond or Donald Trump, I highly recommend you visit the Wax Museum.
Mit den Farben, das sind schon wieder alle schick. Das ist ein Kapitel. Die Kabelführung sind
Ahead of us, you will see Trinity College again, and to your right is the pub most frequented by Trinity students. Doyle's has been one of the main reasons for missed assignments since 1880.
Alter, wie viel Busse haben ey. Ihr fühlt sich
We are on College Green, and as the name suggests, it was once an open green area. It goes right back to the year 795 when the Vikings settled in Dublin, and many Viking burial mounds were found here over the years. In medieval times, it was known as Hagen Green. People grazed animals here, used it as a recreation space, and more gruesomely, as a public execution place. The earliest recorded execution here was in 1327, when a man named Black Adam O'Toole was burned at the stake for the crime of heresy, after he had declared the Holy Scriptures as fairy tales. Coming up on your right, you will see the Olympia Theatre. Built in 1879 as the Star of Erin Music Hall, in its long history, it has hosted some of the world's biggest stars, including Charlie Chaplin, Laurel and Hardy, David Bowie, and Adele. But not on the same night, of course. And on your left, you will be seeing Dublin Castle and City Hall. The castle was built originally in 1204. It was built on an area known as Dove Linn, or Black Pool. This was eventually anglicised to Dublin. It was the home of British rule in Ireland for over 800 years. Throughout its long history, it has gone through many moments of construction and reconstruction, and always in the style of the time. So when walking around it, you get a real look at architecture through the ages. Ahead you will see Christ Church Cathedral, one of Dublin's oldest buildings. It was built just after 1028 by King Sitric Silkenbeard. While some of it still survives from that time, it has been added to and renovated in many ways over the years. Most extensively in 1871, with the funding of the famous whiskey distiller Henry Roe. Were built to offer safe and cheap housing to the people of Dublin, and they are still run by the Trust to this day. Next door to St. Patrick's Cathedral is one of the few remaining 18th century buildings in Dublin, still in its original use. Marsh's Library is Ireland's oldest public library. It has a collection of over 25,000 books and 300 manuscripts, some dating back to the 1500s, and they adorn beautiful old original oak shelves. The next stop is stop number 4, St. Patrick's Cathedral and Marsh's Library. Now, if we have been famous for two things throughout our history, it has been religion, as seen with the two cathedrals we just passed, and alcohol. And if we are known for our alcohol, we are particularly known for our Guinness and, of course, our whiskies, of which we have quite a few. Whiskey is, in fact, an anglicisation of the Irish phrase Uisce Beatha, the water of life. It has been distilled here for centuries, but licensed distilling began in the 1600s. At one point, Irish whiskey was the most popular spirit in the world. Now, it did see a sharp decline in the 1920s and 30s during Prohibition in America, and only a handful of distilleries remained in the 1960s. Luckily for us all, though, it has seen a huge resurgence in recent years, which I, for one, am delighted about. Dublin is full of many excellent distilleries, all worth visiting. For an overall history of Irish whiskey and a range of delicious tastings, I have to recommend the Irish Whiskey Museum on College Green. It's stop number 1 on your maps. Located in the heart of the historic Liberties, against the backdrop of a city steeped in whiskey history, the Teeling Whiskey Distillery opened its doors in 2015 as the first new distillery in Dublin for over 125 years. Whiskey making and entrepreneurship have been in the Teeling genes since as far back as 1782, when Walter Teeling set up a small craft distillery on Maryleboe Lane. Since 2012, Jack and Stephen Teeling, the latest generation of Teeling whiskey makers, have been putting their own mark on Irish whiskey. The next stop is stop number 5, for the Dublin Liberties Distillery and Teeling's Distillery.
Weiterweg. Kein System, ich steige hier mal aus.
For those of you who have just joined us, we hope you enjoyed our whiskey tastings and brought some samples for the rest of us. Sharing is caring, as they say. We are in a part of Dublin known as the Liberties, one of Dublin's most historic working class areas. We hope you are enjoying your experience here with us at Irish Day Tours. For more information about our family-owned, award-winning tours, just speak to your driver at the next stop.
Ja, cool, wa?
The next stop is stop number 7, the Guinness Storehouse. Probably one of the most recognisably Irish things. Guinness has been brewed at St James's Gate since 1759, when Arthur Guinness acquired a 9,000-year lease for the site. Due to the black stuff's popularity, the brewery has expanded far bigger than the original 4-acre site. Now sitting on 50 acres of land here in the Liberties, most of the buildings you see around you are part of the brewery. Though known as the black stuff, Guinness's colour is actually ruby red, a very dark ruby red. As we head away from Guinness, here's something you may not have heard on your tour of the brewery. It has been said that you can get your recommended daily allowance, everything you need, 47 pints of Guinness and a glass of orange juice. You know, for vitamin C. The reason you may not have heard this in there is because it's not true. But you should never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Alle Trick hier macht, Leute.
I thought you might like to hear a poem dedicated to the black stuff, also known locally as a pint of plain. It's a poem by Flann O'Brien called The Workman's Friend, and it truly captures our relationship with the drink. When things go wrong and will not come right, though you do the best you can, when life looks black as the hour of night, a pint of plain is your only man. When money's tight and hard to get, and your horse has also ran, when all you have is a heap of debt, a pint of plain is your only man. When health is bad, and your heart feels strange, and your face is pale and wan, when doctors say you need a change, a pint of plain is your only man. Very near this site in 1757. Wow, we really do visit quite a few distilleries on this tour. But then again, as author George Bernard Shaw says, sun shines. There's a hospital coming up on the right. Originally St. Patrick's Hospital for imbeciles, it was founded in 1747, with money left by Jonathan Swift after his death. Swift himself was declared mentally unsound by a commission of lunacy in 1742, and is believed to have gone totally silent, not speaking a word for over a year. Today, St. Patrick's Mental Health Services is Ireland's leading not-for-profit mental health organisation. It deals with around 12% of Ireland's inpatient care and employs over 700 staff. And Louis LeBrock. An artwork you will no longer see here is a statue of Queen Victoria, which was originally in the grounds of Leinster House until 1922, when it was removed. It was then left in the courtyard of the Royal Hospital, gathering a patina until 1986, when it was loaned to Australia. Easy target for body snatchers and grave robbers. One account tells of Peter Hart, College Ground, at stop number 1. Completed in 1861, it was built to commemorate the victories of the Duke of Wellington. There are 4 bronze plates on it, which were cast from cannons captured during his victory in the Battle of Waterloo. Originally named Queensbridge, it was renamed in 1942 to honour Liam Mellows, who was executed without trial during the Irish Civil War in 1922. The Civil War was one of the darkest times in Irish history, where many families were divided. The next stop is stop number 15, Ford Smithfield Square, the old Jameson Distillery. The forecourts that we will be passing on our left was originally constructed between 1786 and 1796. During the 1916 Rising, it was taken over by the rebels, led by Ned Daly. And though much of the fiercest fighting was around this area, the building was largely undamaged. On your right, across the water, you will see the Clarence Hotel. It's the taller building with the balcony near the top of it. That hotel and surrounding buildings used to be owned by the band U2. In the year 2000, they performed their hit song Beautiful Day live from the roof for Top of the Pops. Ahead, you will see an arched white footbridge known as the Halfpenny Bridge. It is one of the images most associated with this fair city. It's on millions of postcards and in pretty much every montage of Dublin ever made. Called the Halfpenny Bridge because it used to be a toll bridge and cost one halfpenny to cross. On the other side of the bridge is an entrance to Temple Bar, a hub of activity that every tourist must see. Aside from its many great pubs and restaurants, you will also find the fantastic Irish Rock and Roll Museum experience. Music lovers can get a guided tour of the venue, studios, and tons of info and memorabilia from bands such as U2, Thin Lizzy, and Rory Gallagher. The Rock and Roll Museum is not to be missed. If you look ahead to your right, you will see O'Connell Bridge, which, rather surprisingly, connects to O'Connell Street. O'Connell Street, which we will turn onto next, is and has been Dublin's main thoroughfare for centuries, though it's been through many changes, the most significant of which was during the 1916 Rising. The rebels took the General Post Office on O'Connell Street as their main headquarters, making what was one of the most decadent streets in the world a primary target for shelling from the gunship Helga that had positioned itself in the Liffey beside us.